Okay. YouTube people, let's get started. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, listeners. Welcome to another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. That's right, folks. We are back. And I know everyone's busy getting ready for Christmas and wrapping all their presents. And, a lot of us are actually really sore right now from sitting in a movie theater for over 3.5 hours. And we're here, of course, to talk about Avatar, The Way of the Water. It's going to be very interesting to talk about. And the second of 5 films by I don't know, James Cameron. We love you, but we got to talk. So it's going to be a fun discussion tonight. Got a great crew here to talk to us about it. Let's, of course, welcome, Mr. Howdy himself, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
And he is definitely not an Avatar, folks, so you can guarantee that.
There's got to be a rule that for theater owners, I mean, I know they're trying to make money, but if the movie is over 3 hours, you cannot show 25 minutes of trailers before the movie even starts, because then you're in the hole. Like right away, you're like going, all right, now the clock's ticking. Or you could, like, I don't know why there's no intermissions anymore. Like, don't they make money on intermissions because people go out and buy popcorn? And
I was going to say they probably would make a lot more money if they had intermissions, because people would be running out. Oh, I'm starving. I've been sitting in that theater for 2.5 hours. And I know I have another hour and a half left. I want popcorn, I want candy, I want a hot dog, or whatever they sell at the theater, or if you're lucky enough, some movie theaters actually have waiters and waitresses.
3.5 hours is a strain on the bladder, especially when every shot shows running water.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't help. It did not help.
It's like, whoa, man, that's tough. So yeah. Anyway, always glad to be here, and it's gonna be fun to talk about this one.
And of course, we have our movie reviewer herself here, Ms. Ashley Pauls. How are you?
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be back.
And I'm sure you're thrilled of having sitting in the theater for all that time.
Well, you know what is interesting? Normally, my theater, I like to go see it in IMAX is my first choice. If I can't make that time work, then it's the theaters with the recliners. But I had to sit in a regular theater seat. And so this was probably the worst movie of the year to pick to do that. So I was a little sore by the end, but I stuck it out. So.
Wow. Well, I mean, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. Ashley's the reason that we're talking about Avatar, The Way of Water this week, because Mike and I were actually thinking, maybe we're not that excited about it. Maybe we should skip this one. But Ashley was like, nope. The movie crew is needed and going into action this week. So we hopped in the van and yes, saw Avatar. Yeah, Ashley put her foot down, so we follow. That's all.
We follow. So all hell, Ashley, that we're here tonight.
Exactly. You do not want to make her mad. Let's put it that way. Like, people out there just don't understand. Like, she is a taskmaster. Like, yeah, it's amazing.
You can thank me or blame me, but we all saw Avatar, so we'll find out soon how they actually felt.
Yeah, it was either this or we were going to review Everything Anywhere All at Once. So, Ashley decided on Avatar instead. So, so thanks, Ashley.
You're welcome.
So it is awesome for everybody to be here. I hope you guys enjoyed the movie. If you haven't, we are going to spoil the heck out of this one. So, if you are into effects and everything, you're going to love hearing us talking all about the special effects in this one tonight. So please, we want to hear from you. Feedback at earthstation1.com. Please let us know what you guys thought of the film. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? What format did you guys see it in? Did you see it in regular? Did you see it in IMAX? Did you see it in 3D? Did you see it in 3D IMAX? So there's so many different ways that you could have seen this film. So definitely would love to hear about what you guys thought. Of course, we want to say hi to our YouTube folks. Thank you guys for seeing us, looking at us. And, we're all festive and ready for Christmas here, as you could tell, as I have my menorahs in the back. So, we're so ready for
I was
Christmas.
gonna say you're like this is the Festival of Lights time for you.
Oh, of course it is. Of course, as of this recording, it's the second night of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends.
Mhm.
And for all
Happy
my
Hanukkah.
non-Jewish friends, got a couple more days, folks. So keep on listening to Mariah Carey, and hopefully you haven't been whamageddoned yet. So hopefully you're all good there. Of course, if you're listening to us on audio, thank you for listening. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. We would really appreciate it. Feedback is always welcome to our show. And you know what? Also, if you haven't given anyone a nice holiday gift yet, please, maybe think about getting the people a subscription to our ESO Patreon for as little as $12 a year. You can actually help support the ESO network. It's not too shabby, folks. And I know Patreon is always finding new creative ways to give, gifts to people. And, you know, ESO is a great gift thing to do. We also have a T Public store. So if you have a time, go to our T Public store, get some pretty cool ESO swag. I'm right now wearing my new ESO network show shirt up. And so definitely check it out. And it's some pretty cool stuff. And I know the designer personally, and he thanks you if you do buy his designs, which is, pretty cool. So definitely check it out. And you could go to the T Public store. You could just look up ESO Network under T Public, or if you want to go nice and easy, just go to the ESO website or Earth Station One's website. Go to the top, it says T Public on it. Just click on that and it'll take you right to our store. Pretty cool stuff. And I know, they're promoting right now. Hey, you bought stuff for everybody else. Why not buy something for yourself now from T Public? Pretty cool advertising campaign. Pretty cool. Another great advertising campaign, as we like to say, is our friends over at Tifosi Optical. Tifosi Optical has amazing sunglasses, folks. Yeah, it's the middle of winter, but you know what? You still have sun, you have some glare and everything. Everyone needs a good pair of sunglasses in the winter. And you know what? It's pretty cool if you get from Tifosi Optical. You custom make your own colors, your own colors of lenses. It's pretty cool. I got a pair about 6 months ago, and I got red lenses. It's pretty cool. So I could look at the world through rose-colored glasses finally. So it's pretty cool. Definitely check it out, TifosiOptics.com. And they're having a wonderful sale right now. And on top of the sale prices, you can get 10% off your whole order, just not one pair of glasses, your whole order. All you have to do is put in the code Earth Station One, and you can actually get it all for 10% off. And you could tell them Earth Station One sent you. Pretty cool stuff. Coupon code Earth Station One from Tifosi Optical, and you just go to TifosiOptics.com. Okay, Mr. Mike, ready to dive into the water? Ready to take a
It's
swim?
time. It's time to unpack the sequel to Avatar. That's been many, 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 many years in the making. Of course,
Is that many?
The original Avatar came out in 2009. And it was a thing, believe it or not. It started off small. I think that the opening weekend was about it was less than $80 million overall. Like but it just built and grew and stayed in theaters and stayed in theaters and stayed in theaters, and has become the most highest grossing movie of all time in North America. Maybe that's the world too. But anyway, so of course there was going to be a sequel, and nobody thought it would take this long to make the sequel. But I can't. In some ways, I can't believe it actually got released. I mean, we've been waiting for so long, and as Mike said, it was released to a lot more theaters this time around. A lot more theaters. The landscape of the theater going audience and the movies have changed dramatically since the first one came out. So very different. This one is, as Mike pointed out, has been released in a lot of different formats. I think more formats, more variety of formats than any other movie in film history. Because you can watch it normally at non 3D and 24 frames per second. You can watch it on a high definition screening, with some of the sequences being 60 frames per second. You can see it in 3D, you can see it in not 3D, you can see it in Dolby. I mean, there's a lot of choices, there's a lot of options, and I mean, we'll talk about it, whether or not, well, first of all, let's talk about how you saw it, because maybe there's a difference, and does that affect the movie experience for this? Ashley, how you said, I think you said that you just saw it in a regular theater, 24 frames per second, not 3D, right?
Yes. And I feel like this is one I definitely would have gotten more if I had gone to see it in IMAX, because basically the main draw of this movie is the visuals. And so I feel like as big and high quality of a screen you can get it on, I feel like is the optimum way to view the movie. Sometimes I have issues with 3D just because I wear glasses and have to put the 3D glasses on top of that, and that doesn't always work so well. So
Me
I
too.
try
Oh, wait a
to,
minute.
yeah, I try to avoid 3D, but I would be curious to see how the 3D experience would work with this one, since I'm sure the director had a lot of the sequences with the 3D in mind.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it was, he's 3D all the way. And so there was, I don't think, any doubt, even though 3D has kind of gone out of favor
Mhm.
for most of the film industry, but you know, James Cameron is bringing it back. Uh Mike, how did you see the movie?
I actually am going to surprise you because I actually went to see it in 3D.
Mhm.
And I actually put the glasses over my glasses so I can watch it. And I enjoyed it that way. It was, I had the reclining seats and we were able to, watch in 3D. And Mike, you and I had been talking before we went to see the film because you had seen it the day before.
Mhm.
And you said, there were times you thought the bugs or something were out in front of you. There were times I wanted to move the vine so I could see the characters better and
Wow.
everything. That's how real it looked.
Wow.
And the 3D did amazing. And I think I wouldn't have enjoyed it nearly as much as I did without the 3D. So it was, it made the movie for me. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I regret not seeing the original Avatar in 3D, because that was the whole part of the experience. Ashley, did you see the original in 3D?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. I did not. I think I waited until it was in the second run theaters or something like that, and I just saw it on a regular screen. And you know, it as much as, I find fault with it, to be honest with you, I didn't hate it. I just thought it was okay. You know, I think it would have definitely been enhanced had I watched it in 3D. Because I don't think Cameron looks at Avatar as being just a movie. I think he thinks of it as an experience. So if you don't see it in 3D, it's kind of like, and which is the way he intended, it's kind of like going to Disney, going on the Haunted Mansion ride, or not going on the Haunted Mansion ride, but watching it, like have someone do a YouTube video of it and
Mhm.
post that, right? So it's a lot different, being in it than it is like just watching a poor copy of it, so to speak. But that said, when it comes down to it, great graphics only take you so far. Great special effects only take you so far. And I think a lot of people, especially me, and it sounds like you guys as well, were not that impressed with the writing, the characters, and then everything else regarding the first one. And then let's find out about the second one as well. So, Ashley, going in now, I'm sorry, did you like the first one a lot?
Yeah, well, I remember when it came out and like there was so much hype around it, and went to see it and like being blown away by the visuals, like wow. I think it's when you watch it on a smaller screen that some of the more weaknesses with the storytelling and like the acting and characters come through. So it's definitely more of a visual spectacle. So kind of for the sequel, I was just curious to see because special effects have evolved so much since then, to see if the sequel would still manage to blow people away, if there was more depth in terms of story and to see if basically this movie could kind of live up to James Cameron's ego, because he's been hyping this up a lot and really wanting to do it. And
Nothing can do that.
yeah,
Nothing.
making some comments that I will say frustrating about other female characters in other franchises, and that's all I'm going to say about that topic at this time. But yeah, so was just very curious to see this kind of as a moment in film development and film history. And I will say probably my feelings about the sequel are similar to the first one. I mean, visually incredible, just like all the sequences with the water. I felt like I was watching a real like live action movie. Like it just looks incredible. I feel like I'm diving into the water. You know, it's cheaper than a beach vacation, so it was nice to like visit the ocean for a little bit. And it is just this really gorgeous, breathtaking world. I mean, if you ever get a chance to go to Walt Disney World's Animal Kingdom, the Avatar world there, regardless of how you feel about the movies, is just like, it's jaw-dropping. I loved it almost as much as Galaxy's Edge, which is saying something. Like visually it's an incredible world, but I feel like just with the story, it doesn't necessarily have the storytelling depth and character depth that would maybe take it to the next level of some of these other franchises like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, things like that. And in terms of the movie's length, I thought the movie was a bit too long. Like I'm willing to sit through a 3-hour movie like Avengers Endgame. I was glued to the screen from start to finish. Like Lord of the Rings, I probably would have watched like 3 more hours of those movies. But I feel like for what this was, it felt a bit indulgent, I think. So yeah, I would say if you want to go see it, definitely go see it now when you can see it on a really big screen, because I don't know that this is necessarily one that I will return to when it inevitably ends up on Disney Plus.
Interesting. Mike, what about you? How did you feel about I mean, what were your expectations going in, and what happened, and how did you come out?
My expectations were pretty low coming in because, I've only seen the first one once and saw it at the theater, did not see it in 3D. I don't have high feelings for 3D at all. I've had some pretty bad experiences with it, especially having astigmatism and having to wear glasses.
Mhm.
Sometimes, the certain 3D really throws my vision off.
Yep.
And so I didn't have high hopes for this. And up until 2 weeks ago, we were maybe thinking about canceling this from our schedule, that we weren't going to review it. But, Taskmaster Ashley pretty much, said, well, good or bad, we're going to have to review this anyway. So let's
It'll
go
be
ahead
an
and
interesting discussion, darn it.
Don't cross the bus.
exactly. When it comes to movies, we go, yes, Ashley, anything you say, Ashley. So it's pretty much worth it there. But you know what? I'm glad I went to go see it. I got to see it in 3D, like I said earlier. And visually, this is one of the most stunning movies I've ever seen in my life. It lives up to the hype. It is truly a gorgeous movie. There's parts in this movie I didn't know were animated or real. That's how good it was, how good it was. And this is for the first time I feel like CGI has hit the level where it blended in perfectly.
Mhm.
You could, there's for years you couldn't even tell where it was. You could tell it was an animated character or somebody behind a green screen or somebody acting it out, and they basically did rotoscoping and drew over them and everything. This you couldn't tell. This was seamless, and bravo to James Cameron for bringing this to us for that. Story wise, it was predictable. It was weak. It wasn't anything I hadn't seen before. There was nothing that made me go, oh my God, this is one of the best stories ever. No, not far from it. And I had predicted already within the first 20 minutes which character was going to die, even, of the family. And it was entertaining. Yes. Was it a story that I would go back and see over and over again? Oh, hell no. This movie could have been an hour and a half and I would have been blown away. It could have been half the time. And I could have easily, my bladder would have thanked me a lot of times for that. And you know what? It was, I definitely think it could have been easily cut in half. And there were scenes I felt like, did we see this already? You know, and over and over again. There was just repeats, and it's like, come on, we got to use this budget up. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got this extra animation stuff. So it just felt like James Cameron was just having, his coming to God moment or whatever he was doing. And for him, it's beyond, this is his lifestyle, his life. And you know what? His life needs to be a little shorter. And I don't mean that badly. I think
Wow. Faber's putting a hit on Cameron.
Maybe. No. But truthfully, I don't know if I'll be running back for a third one of these, or fourth or fifth. Unless Ashley tells us we have to.
I was going to say, if Ashley says we have to, dude. If Ashley ain't happy, ain't nobody.
Buy your tickets now.
I like so many of you. I mean, I didn't, the first one was like a freak of nature, and I don't know too many people anymore, or even then, like, that were like really high on the movie. I don't know who saw it that many times or whatever. It just seemed like it was this weird thing that was the highest grossing movie of all time, but yet almost everybody I talked to that saw it like didn't like it. Which was very strange. I didn't see it in 3D. I waited a while to see it, and I think I missed out there. So I missed out on the experience. And yes, in the first one, the story was not great. The characters in particular were pretty cardboard. Yeah, it is not a great experience. Seeing this one again, I can't not argue with either one of you. Visually, it's as stunning as anything has ever been put on the screen. It is absolutely amazing. I don't think I've ever seen. I've never seen some of the stuff I've just never seen before. I've never seen the ocean like this. You can really tell that James Cameron loves the ocean. Like, we all know that, sure, right? But this movie is like a love letter to the ocean. In a way that the first Avatar was not. Like, it was not a love letter to the jungle or the forest or anything like that. But this one is like, I mean, he's like, you know what? I'm going to show you like a lot of stuff. We're going to spend a lot of time underwater. We're going to spend a lot of time in the ocean. And I, to be honest with you, I didn't mind it. The story is pretty much a copy of the first movie. I saw somebody online, and I can't credit them, I'm afraid, because I don't remember who it was, but I saw it. Maybe it's more than one. There seems to be a hashtag or something going on, but that this is kind of like The Force Awakens is to the original Star Wars movies, and the fact that the plot is pretty much the same, but they have different dressing on it. Like, they say, as far as that goes, and I can see that. But after this period of time, just like with Force Awakens, after a period of time, which has been so long since the first one has been relevant, I think they felt a need to kind of repeat things and sort of reintroduce people to this world. I thought, as far as telling that story again, sort of did seem repetitive, and yet I feel like he told it much better this time. I felt like the characters were more interesting. Even Sully, I just thought was boring in the first one. In this one, I felt like he was actually like interesting. I liked the children. I liked the performances by a lot of the other characters, the new characters. But I especially, more than anything, I think in the last, like, whatever it's been since, however long that, since 2009, since we got another Cameron film, I forgot how friggin' good James Cameron is as a filmmaker, especially when it comes to action sequences. The last 45 minutes are nothing but like this climactic action. And I was like in awe. I'm like, oh my God, this is something I haven't seen on the big screen or the small screen in a long time. I mean, the action is clear, it's crisp. You know who the bad guys are, you know who the good guys are. There's none of that close up shaky cam stuff where you don't know what's going on. You understand everybody who and what they're doing. You understand, like, there's points where you laugh, there's points where you cringe, there's points where you're like, invested and it's intense. I just thought, like, this is a master at work. You forget how good Cameron is with making these action set pieces. There's some other great set pieces too in the movie, but really the ending I thought was just like, I was like, wow, I'm in the presence of a master again. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to tell this story. And even though, it's kind of like Mike said, it's a predictable story. There's no real shock here. But what he does tell, I think he does tell about as well as he can, as anybody. So I don't know. Here's the caveat though. As good as this looks and as good as, as I feel like he's a master, this aesthetic that Pandora has does nothing for me. I don't look at the characters and go like, wow, they look really cool. I want an action figure of those. Not that it's all about merch, but it goes to say, like, I just don't like, it looks cool, but it's not my thing. It's not like I don't connect with it. And I don't blame Cameron for that. I mean, that's what I'm bringing to it. It just doesn't work for me. I'm not, I'm not as big on. I would not, if I was making this movie, I would not design the Na'vi to look like they do. I just think they look, odd, and I don't particularly. They don't repulse me, but I'm not gaga over them as well. So I think, to me, that's what the big issue is with the Avatar movies in general, and specifically this one, is that I don't really love the aesthetic. I appreciate the work, and I appreciate I mean, I know it's not like, it's not the great, like, big movie writing wise or whatever, character wise. He's not taking a lot of chances, but I do think that and he has got something to say for sure. I mean, there's definitely, if you don't come out of this movie with an appreciation of the ocean and the life forms in the ocean, and feeling awful about, like, the whale hunting and the military, I mean, you could see it's all over this movie. And in this day and age, making a movie that is pretty much anti-Marines, anti-military, that's pretty bold. Like, I mean, I feel like that's gonna, especially when we have the huge success of Top Gun Maverick, this movie comes along and says, you know what, the armed forces, the Marines in particular, humans, people from Earth, are jerks. Like, they're jerks,
Yeah.
and they colonize and they ruin everything. And I'm like, that's a pretty bold statement for a big blockbuster to make. Does it pay off? I don't know. And then obviously this is the first one of, like, a bunch. So there's a lot of things that are loose, and we're going to be connecting to them later. They don't pay off. So there's that element too. So I liked it better than the first one, a lot better actually. But like much of Liu, I don't foresee myself watching this or rewatching this over and over again. The experience was great, but in the long run, I find like it's just kind of lacking. So
No, I agree with that completely. The way you're saying it, it's hard to get vested in it when you don't care about what's really going on up there. That's the
well, I
thing.
cared. I just, like I said, I didn't like. I thought that he did pretty good. He did a lot of work on most of the characters. Unfortunately, the one that dies, we don't really care about at all because we don't really spend a lot of time with them. I'm like, that's kind of bad, Jim. Like, you should really, like, if you want us to cry, you should really, like, put in the work so that we know who this guy is, and we're sorry that he's dead. Because if he had killed any of the other characters, any of the other members of the family, we probably would be crying. But it's because it's this guy we don't really know. He's just a big brother stereotype. We're like, we don't know. Ashley, what's something else about the movie, and you can say good or bad, that you either appreciated or did not appreciate?
Yeah, I really liked all the creatures introduced. I mean, seeing again like the banshees, the flying creatures, and then all of the aquatic life and the bioluminescence, I mean, is just like amazing. I enjoyed seeing all those creatures, the kind of water dragons, or I can't remember what those were called, the best way to describe them, but I thought it was really cool seeing those creatures and seeing how the Navi would bond with the creatures. And then I did like the relationship the one of the sons had with the whale-like creature that was an outcast. I thought that was neat that they were both able to kind of like form a bond. And then, gosh, like the one scene that did get me was when they hunt down that whale and the calf. Like, that there might have been a tear or two. I was a little bit disappointed that the harpoonist didn't get eaten. I feel like he deserved to be eaten by one of the whale creatures, but he did get
He
his arm sliced off.
he
And
got he's
so
pretty
yeah, justice came for him. But as soon as that scene was over, it's like, all right, this guy needs to get eaten or something. But like, I was glad he got his just desserts. But yeah, seeing all the creatures, I thought was really cool and added to the environment.
Mike, what about you? What's something else about the movie that that affected you either in a good or bad way?
It was interesting because, Cameron definitely is a very huge naturalist, and he also, the statements he was making about the ocean, about the whaling, about, you know, how humans suck, was pretty prevalent all throughout this. But truthfully, I think he's more closer to the mark about when we go off planet and what it's going to be like going to different planets and such than Star Trek or such, boldly going, because look what we've done on this planet. Are we going to just carry it over? And, you know, I'd love to say humans will become highly evolved and quest for peace and everything like in the Star Trek universe. But I have a feeling they're going to be more like what we saw in this, you know, how Earth, they even said in this, Earth is dying and we are trying to find a new place for humanity to live, but we can't have these, they call them barbarians. This is what we did to the Indians. This is what we do to
Oh,
any
that's
this
all over this movie.
oh yeah, this is what we do to any indigenous people, and it's crazy like that. A true shout out I wanted to give for this movie has to go out to Sigourney Weaver.
Mm.
And, she was awesome in this role because she was the young
Two
girl.
roles.
Yeah.
She's in two roles.
Yeah, exactly. She plays herself in the live action, but then she's also her daughter, which is pretty amazing. And she did an awesome job, and I would say her character was the one that was the most fascinating to me, not just because she had an epileptic seizure and kind of reminded me of my wife, but just it was just interesting. Her character was interesting. Her character was different than just everyone else. And I actually appreciated that. And I liked that a lot. The other thing I did like also with this, I like the difference between the woods creatures and the
Mm-hmm.
aqua creatures, how they evolved depending where they were
Mm-hmm.
living and everything. And I thought that was awesome. And that was a neat little touch.
I concur with those performances as well. Especially with Sigourney Weaver as Kiri, I thought that that was pretty cool, and I think that that this is just the beginning of what we're going to see from her. If I wouldn't be surprised if in the next movie or whatever, how going forward, she's like a major like center of the movie.
She's going to be the
Because
Jedi of the character. Basically.
she might be. She might be, but um I do think that some characters got a short deal. Particularly Neytiri,
Mm-hmm.
played
Mhm.
by Zodi Saldana. she's like a major figure in the first movie, but in this one, she kind of takes a back seat and kind of just sort of, just responds to whatever Sully wants to do. And I thought that was kind of weird. The only part that I really appreciated was after her son dies, man, she goes into primal rage mode and just starts kicking ass. And I was like, wow, this is, she was so full of rage, and yet so skillful at it. Like, she doesn't just like attacking to attack, although, whether or not she was really going to kill what's his name, I'm not really sure. Like, who knows, right? If he was gonna Spider, right? If she was gonna like really kill him. But I always appreciate her, and I hope that in the next, whatever, that she has a bigger role as well, and she's not just. I actually thought that I was kind of surprised. I actually thought that Sully might die in this. Because to me, he's like maybe one of the weakest links, and I'm like, well, maybe like he should go, like, but I think they had too many kids because they couldn't really focus on all of them. And I think, like I said, the oldest son, the oldest one, the firstborn, he's the one that gets a short shift character wise, and then he's the one that dies, and we just don't care. Unfortunately, it's not enough. We're just like, we're sad, but it's like not enough. So, but yeah, what is something else, Ashley, about the movie that affected you, good or bad? Again,
well, just the idea. I'm always intrigued by movies that play around with the theme of legacy. So you had like the original characters, and then now you have the next generation. How are they going to live with that? How are they going to live up to it and carry it on? So I was kind of glad that they chose to focus on the children, especially since the movie itself was released so long after the original. So I feel like it makes sense to like, I'm glad it wasn't just like Jake and Neytiri doing their thing again. Like, we have kids now. So, and also I will say, as a parent, this movie stressed me the heck out how many times the kids just like wandered off, got kidnapped, went exploring, got into danger, and like no one was supervising them. So
that one girl's like, I've been tied up again.
I know, she's like, it really stressed me out. But yeah, so I thought that focusing on the kids was a smart move and made the movie a little bit more interesting than if it just tried to like recycle the main characters.
Yeah. Mike, what about you? What's something else?
Something else that I'd liked. I loved the scenes between the middle son and the whale. I thought those were just awesome. They were both outcasts. They both felt like they were, nobody wanted them around. And I loved how they bonded. And I thought it was even pretty cool, when he went into the mouth of the whale and got to see what was in there.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. It was truly, truly beautiful.
Bold.
Spider is an idiot for saving his quote unquote father.
Right.
It's like,
it's like,
I'm sorry.
no.
You think that's going to come back on them? You think that's going to like?
There's no redemption arc, I don't think there. I think he's going to come back and cause problems.
Oh, you think?
I don't know. I feel like we are going to get not one that we couldn't have gotten with the original character, but it seems like because he's Navi now, and he did show, like, he did hesitate and did kind of like care about Spider, even though he doesn't have to. I think they're opening up a door there that I would not be surprised if by the third movie they're working together.
Maybe because, the family's going to eventually have to find out that, Spider did, save him.
Yeah.
And
that's going to be an awkward conversation.
Oh, you think?
Yep. I thought he was dead. What happened? I saved him.
He's back.
He's back. Yeah. It's like, how many of these clones do they have? So that kind of stuff was I think that was it was like so predictable. It's like, oh, there goes the third one. Okay, So I didn't think it was all that great. And like I said, I could have written this script, with a monkey, and it would have probably been better.
Wow, I would not be that harsh on it. I think it was better than the first script, the script of the first one by leaps and bounds. But talking about Spider being a dumbass, I think like Sully is dumb. Like, oh, that my family is causing problems with my tribe here in the woods. Let's go stay with some people that are in the water because trouble won't find us there. Like, I'm like, what? Like, like, I can't believe like the village that they weren't kicked out immediately. Like, no. They're looking for you.
Yeah. So
Like,
it's like,
we are not gonna harbor you. And then sure enough, they come around. It's like, oh, you know although it does, it's just another example of like, those tribes that like, well, it's not happening to me, not yet, like it will, like people like this colonizers don't just stop, like they don't just. And Cameron gives us not one, not two, but three reasons for the humans to just totally decimate Pandora. I mean, we have the what is it called? Unobtainium from the first movie.
Yep.
And then we have this fountain of youth, this elixir that can prevent, like, stop you from aging in this movie, and Earth's dying, so we need a place to stay. So there's three reasons that humanity has to come and just decimate
Decimate. Yeah.
this planet. I don't
Agreed.
know. I'm kind of curious. I'm like, what is James Cameron's answer to stopping this? Like, how, like, you see what they're up against. I would think that, I would say that their options are not good as far as like what. And in the end, you can win a battle here and win a battle here, but they're just going to keep coming. They're just going to keep coming, and I don't know what he's got in. I'm kind of curious as to see what Cameron has in mind for this end game of how you're going to be able to stop this.
I don't think he has an end game, truthfully.
Oh, he does. He's already he's already working on the next two movies. He has an
I
end game.
no, I think he just wants his stories more and more told. And I think he's just making it up as he goes along, throws it against the wall and goes, okay, let's try that. Let's try that.
That's what writing is. You just make stuff up as you go along. Like, I think that I don't know. I mean, he's got a plan. I think that's clear. I think that's clear. It feels like he's got a plan in this because he's got so many things that he leaves open for the next one. And he's filming the other two back to back. So, I mean, now what's going to be really interesting is if this movie doesn't do very well, or as well as Disney wants, is he going to get the opportunity to make those movies? That I don't know, but he's made it pretty clear that this is his thing. That if he's not making this, he's not making movies at all. Like, he's done making movies. This is the only thing that he's interested in doing. This is the only story that he's interested in telling. And so, I mean, Cameron's like too good. Like, we've seen his work before. We know he's not just like, I mean, as Ashley pointed out, he's brash as hell. Like, you want to talk about a guy who doesn't give an F. Like, it's sort of like his brashness is, on the one hand, is disarming and kind of like not cool at times, but I kind of have to admire the fact that here's a filmmaker that doesn't have to, like, he feels like he doesn't have to answer to anybody. Like, he can really do whatever he wants. Now, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yep.
All right, so we're probably getting ready to sort of wind this up, and I do want to ask you guys, because I think, Mike, you already said this, but are you willing to continue with the Avatar films as they come out? I mean, we do know that there's at least two more coming out. Are you on board with those? Are you going to wait and see, or are you done? Ashley?
I will probably end up going to see the others just because these seem like event films. Like I may not end up watching The Way of Water again, but I feel like it was something that was interesting to go see in the theaters just in terms of sheer visual spectacle. I'm really curious, like you said, to see where he takes the story. I would like to see more parts of Pandora. We've seen the jungle, we've seen the ocean, like
Next up, desert.
right.
I was
I
thinking
was
the
thinking
same
about that in my
thing.
mind, like it's time for desert Navi now. But I would just like to see more like areas of the planet. And it was cool to see the aliens that populated the different parts. So I would like to see exploring more of that world and definitely like kick it up a notch. Like what is going on back on Earth? Like why are people leaving? What is the main plan?
Interesting.
Is there like disagreements back on Earth? Is everybody gung ho like we need to leave Earth and take over this planet? Are there people that disagree or feel differently, or are things so bad it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic wasteland? People are just trying to survive. I think some of that would be interesting to kind of incorporate in, or if there are more humans who want to take kind of their journey like Jake Sully did, they want to become Navi. I think there are interesting threads that he could drill down into. So I would like to see him expand a little bit more from the type of story he's told and maybe dive into some more of those unique threads.
Well,
Look at
it's
the punch.
interesting though too, because you still had the scientists who were left behind. They
Yeah.
were helping with Jake and the family and everything.
Yeah.
So not all humans are bad and everything. So you
Right.
might get someone like that, like, hey, if people on Earth actually found out what was going on, they might not be so thrilled about
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing. And just possibility thinking, wouldn't it be kind of cool to see what would happen, if they showed with one of the movies, they go back to Earth and show what's actually going on there, something like that. And, maybe Jake goes back to Earth somehow, or,
Yeah, that would be interesting.
and so he's the fish
Yeah,
out
the
type
the
thing.
Navi on Earth.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Interesting.
just an idea.
So does that mean that like these are things you want to see and you're in, or are you like because you acted like you were done, unless of course,
Dude, every
Ashley
one of these
cracks
movies,
the
I
whip.
feel like I'm down. And then Ashley said, we're doing it. So I
I'm
said,
sorry. We just get pulled back in.
exactly. So, um, am I going to watch this movie again? No, not at all. Because even watching it at home, I don't think would capture the effects as well
No.
on a big screen
Mhm.
TV. I don't think it would capture the feel of it. And the story wasn't worth me watching again. So, no, I wouldn't come back to this one. Will I see the next one? I like a car wreck as much as the next guy. So probably, you know, if Ashley says we're going to watch it, we'll still be doing our station one. So yeah, we'll be there.
Well,
So
check back again in another like 10 years and see if Avatar 3 is it's been finished.
touche, touche.
One last thing I did notice that I appreciated that Cameron did is he seemed to reference almost every single one of his past movies in this. There was a scene that reminded me of Terminator. There was a scene that reminded me of The Abyss. There was a scene that reminded me of the whole last act reminds me of
Yeah.
Titanic. Like there's a lot of like, and I know he's doing this on purpose. Like this is not just something. I mean, he's not stealing from himself. He's just kind of looking. He's doing this just because I think I think he knows that people want the familiar, I mean, if you use the Star Wars trilogy or the saga as an example, like how many people loved Force Awakens and how many people hated Last Jedi. Like
Mm.
if you mix around with the formula, people like really get antsy and
Mhm.
don't like that at all. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see where he goes from here. I look at this as being a reset. This is like I'm gonna like the first movie was what it was, but I now that it's been a long time, instead of I'm gonna remake the first movie and to make it better, and then we'll go from here. So I'm kind of looking at it that way, hoping that he takes more chances. And there are some characters a couple of characters here that I am invested in. I am interested to see what happens to them. So overall, I think I am on board. But yes, as you guys pointed out, if it's not in 3D, you know, then he's going to have to really beef up the storytelling to a level that because he won't be able to sort of use the experience aspect as a crutch, you know. So, but I mean, I think he's going to keep pushing stuff as well. He's going to keep pushing the technology. There's a lot of stuff that didn't exist until he started making this movie. And so I think that'll continue to happen as well. It'll be really interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. We don't know what the end result of the box office for this one's going to be. It's the weekend was not amazing. It wasn't huge. It was like 130 some, I think, million domestically, and then like I don't know what it did worldwide, but it was. I mean, it was big. It was
made almost 400 million, or over
worldwide,
worldwide. So
which
it's
sounds
made its money
impressive.
back, but
No, it didn't. It hasn't made its money back yet because it would cost like it would have to make like over $1 billion to make its money back at this point, because they put that much money into it. Like it's like they I mean they've been working on it for decades. Like and I think that you know, whether or not it has word of mouth and people go, a lot of people want to go see it on the best screen possible. So obviously they can't all see it at once on that screen. So is it going to just like taper into like people going every weekend, more people, and it's steady? But the weekend box office is impressive, as Mike said, unless you like compare it to Doctor Strange, which actually beat it, you know, in every way, both worldwide, the worldwide weekend and the domestic weekend both beat what Avatar Way of Water did. So like that's not what they wanted.
the one plus they do have going for it though is Christmas is coming this weekend.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have, you know, people who traditionally go to the movies on Christmas and over the couple, because it's literally a 4-day weekend for a lot of people, because a lot of companies are closing Friday and Monday because of how Christmas is hitting. And so, you know, people are going to be going to the movies all throughout the weekend. So a lot of them probably are going to go see Avatar this weekend. So
last question to you both. I mean, when we did our summer movie challenge, this was not our radar because A, it wasn't in the summer, and B, we didn't ever think this was going to come out. But now that it's out, now that you've seen it, what do you predict how well it'll do? Will it beat, like, not obviously in the next couple of weeks because that's too short, but in its run, will it beat Top Gun Maverick? Will it become the biggest grossing movie of that was released this year? Or will it sort of just kind of fade? What do you think, Ashley?
I know whatever I pick, I'm going to be wrong, but I feel like it's not necessarily going to catch Top Gun because I feel like it's longer, so theaters have less show times of it. It again, like you mentioned, we're in a different environment than the first movie. I feel like we're in a world now that's dominated by like the MCU. By streaming, I think it will do well, but I don't know that it will necessarily do as well as Disney was kind of hoping it will.
Yeah, I mean, they hope probably, but I don't know if Disney actually thought this was going to be the next like biggest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to predict, but at least for the year, they kind of hope, right? So Mike, what about you? Do you think it's gonna make it, or do you think it's gonna die off before it kind of reaches Top Gun Maverick?
I think it's going to beat Top Gun Maverick, truthfully.
Oh
And
wow, okay.
yeah, because I think it's gonna, with the two holidays coming up, and you know, a lot of people want entertainment. They want escapism right now with everything that's going on in the world. And the only thing that's gonna possibly hurt it The US is about to get hit with a lot of bad weather and a lot of snow
Mhm.
further north
Yeah.
and everything, and that's going to keep people home, so that people might not be going to the theater. And truthfully, it's not getting a lot of great word of mouth and everything. But I think in the long run, I think the Asian markets, I think a lot of the European and South Asia and such are going to push it over the edge. I think that's how it's gonna beat it, but I maybe not here.
I don't know. I don't know what the situation is in China, so I don't know if this is going to be a lot of things aren't being released in China this year, so I don't know if this is going to be one of those things or not. And but I do think, I think the thing that we don't know, or I don't know anyway, that is going to, if it has a chance to beat Top Gun Maverick, they can't just put this on Disney Plus in 2 months.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
They have to
Agreed.
wait and say, like, if you want to see this, you need to go to the theater and see it, because it is an event. You need to go find a great theater, see it, and then maybe next year, by this time next year, for Christmas next year, we'll have it on Disney Plus.
Agreed.
Because that's the only way I see that even has a chance. Because if people are so used to now, just wait a couple months, boom, it's there. Black Adam is already on Disney, is on HBO Max. I mean, they're releasing these things sooner and sooner. So I don't know how much pull Cameron has as far as, I think if it was up to him, nobody would be streaming this anytime soon. But it'll be interesting to see what Disney has to say about that. So
It's a different world
cool.
than he's used to.
It is. So, well, very cool. Well, it has been great talking all about this. It's cool because I think this is a movie that all of us had a little bit of a different take on, which is not, sometimes we don't usually feel that way about a movie, but this one has certainly divided the crew in a way that I don't know if I expected. So, very cool. Um, I think we are going to take a break, right? Is that right, Mike?
Oh yeah, breaks are
Then
good
we're
at
gonna
this
close.
point.
We're gonna take, and then
Breaks
we're
are
gonna
still
close
good
out.
on the show. Yes.
We're gonna close out the show.
Okay. And hello, YouTube people. We're talking to you now because this is where we have, filler,
We
as
can't
we like to
stop.
say.
We can't stop.
Yep. Right now, we're,
Well, we could take a break, but Ashley won't allow us to.
no,
Like
Keep
she
once,
never.
keep
she,
working.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. She's
Like
like,
we all made it through 3.5 hours of Avatar, so we can keep podcasting for the
But
YouTube folks.
exactly. So let me ask you this little thing for the YouTube folks. Since this is coming out right before Christmas, what do you guys both do for Christmas?
Well, I'm grateful that we don't have to travel this year because we're expecting really cold weather. So, we're just gonna have kind of a quiet day. My parents are gonna come over for dinner, and we're gonna open presents with Lizzie and just
oh,
enjoy some good food.
that's gonna be
And
the highlight of the weekend, isn't it?
yep, it's like
I
I'm at
can't
the
wait to
point.
see the pictures.
Yes. So she is just starting to get more aware of things, and it's been a lot of fun. So I'm
Does
excited.
she
Just kind
understand Christmas? Does she want things?
kind of like she gets excited about the presents. I don't know that she quite understands, like, oh, these packages have appeared there for me. But once you open the toy, like it's very exciting. So she
Gotcha.
loves baby dolls and stuffed animals. Her idea of a good time is carrying around her baby dolls, and then there's this stuffed Kylo Ren and Stormtrooper that she adores. So that's our brand, Disney
So
Princesses
she's
and
already
Star
embraced
Wars.
the dark
Yeah,
side.
so
Is
it's
that
like
what you're saying?
just proud
Wow.
mom.
I
So
do not envy you in the teenage years.
that's true. Yeah, it's like Kylo Ren's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. Like, oh, I don't know that I want to encourage my child to love Kylo Ren because, like, looking at it from the parenting perspective, it didn't turn out too well for Han and Leia. So maybe I don't want to encourage this.
Wow, that's adorable. That's awesome, though.
What about you?
That's I mean, the holidays are all about kids, and
It is. It's
um,
What about you, Mikey?
Michelle and I, it's quiet. We don't travel either. Nobody travels to see us, so we just kind of do our thing, and we Zoom call with the family, and exchange gifts and all that kind of stuff. But that's about it. Other than that, we every year though we have gotten in the habit of two things. I make what I call Christmas chili, which is not a tomato-based chili, but a white-based chili with northern beans. And then we watch White Christmas. So we do that every year. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. It's nice to just kind of chill.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So, you two people, what do you guys do for Christmas? Leave us feedback here underneath the video. We definitely would love to hear what you guys do. It's always neat to hear what other certain people's traditions are and everything. Me, I'm going to the movies and I'm going to go do Chinese food. So, it's always a
Oh, you're
tradition.
going to the movies. What are you seeing?
I think we might go see the Fableman. So,
Nice.
and everything. So, should be kind of fun. Mike actually highly recommended it, and also a couple other friends of mine have seen it, and they say, "Go see it, Faber. Go see it." So it'll be very cool. It should be a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward just to seeing what the series is going to be like and everything, and this autobiographical kind of Steven Spielberg world and everything. Should be a ton of fun, and good Chinese is always good. So with my extended family, so as we like to say. So it's pretty cool. So it should be interesting to do, and then might even actually talk is rumor going around. We might actually go to Waffle House for breakfast. That's where Santa comes to us.
Ooh, fancy.
It's some people, we live dangerously, as we like to say. So it's a good thing. So, have a little grease in the morning and some Asian food in the evening. It gets in both ends, as we like to say. So it should be a ton of fun. All right, let's come back for the closing of the show. 3, 2. So that's going to wrap up another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. We want to thank Ashley for joining us tonight. It's been awesome. And it's because of you we got to do this wonderful review.
Oh, thank you. Well, I enjoyed the discussion. This is one of those movies that I figured, regardless of how it turns out, it'll be an interesting discussion.
It definitely was an interesting discussion. It's always fun having you up on the station. Anything you want to shout out about?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out a slightly smaller movie coming out in the next couple weeks that I'm interested in is A Man Called Otto, starring Tom Hanks. I have not seen the movie, so I can't vouch for it, but I have read the book that it was inspired by, and it's a really charming story about a man who's very grumpy and wants nothing to do with life, but then ends up bonding with a family in his neighborhood. So it's just kind of a fun, feel good story, really great, funny book. So, like I said, I don't know how the movie's going to turn out, but the book it's based on, I believe it was originally a Swedish novel called A Man Called Uwe, but it's worth checking out if you get a chance to.
That is awesome. That is really awesome. It looks interesting, and Tom Hanks, does interesting projects. It's not he, for a bit it felt like he was doing the same kind of film over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think he's starting to take chances and such. So I'm very curious about this one. It does definitely look interesting. And thank you for everything you've done for us for the past year and for the last couple of years. We do appreciate it. And I know
Oh,
how
thanks.
tough it is, especially going through a move and everything.
Yeah, the 2022 was quite the adventure. So I'm looking forward to things settling down hopefully a little bit next year, and I can actually like watch some movies and TV instead of packing and unpacking and painting and ripping up flooring and all that good stuff. So
That is awesome. That is awesome. And Mr. Mike, we made it through another one, my friend.
We did, and as always, it's my pleasure.
And it wasn't even that hard pulling teeth for this one. So, as much as I thought.
No.
Anything you want to shout out about, sir?
I do. For those people who are listening to the podcast and not watching us on YouTube, one of the things that we talked about just for the video viewers was a film that I want to give a shout out to because it was amazing. I went to the movies twice, theater actually twice last week, and saw Avatar, which I liked, but man, Spielberg's new one, The Fabelmans, is an amazing experience. it is not a perfect movie. It's long as well. It's not 3 hours. It's a little over two.
Woo.
But it
Okay.
it has some of the most emotionally honest scenes that I think Spielberg has ever done. It's got a sequence in particular that hit me really hard on a personal level. And in my opinion, it's got the best celebrity cameo of the year. So I strongly recommend checking out The Fablemans on the big screen as Spielberg intends. It's not 3D, or it doesn't have 60 frames per second frame rate or anything like that, but it's a solid movie, family movie. Yeah, it's a little bit about based on Spielberg's life, but like all good stories, it's quite the fable. So uh definitely check it out. It's one of my favorites of the year.
That's awesome. That is truly, truly awesome. I'm looking forward to it because that's gonna be my Christmas movie. So it should be a ton of fun to see. For me, Judy and I have been doing some more TV watching other than, we're talking next episode, we're talking about Wednesday. So we finished that series, but we also got caught up with the new Quantum Leap series on Peacock and NBC, for those who still watch terrestrial television. It was a lot of fun to watch the new iteration of it and how they're tying the mythos of the old series in with the new series. And they've had the first 8 episodes have shown already. And it's going to be coming back, I think, in January or February for the rest of the first season. And then they've just announced that's coming back for a second season, that it's been renewed. So very
Oh boy.
awesome. Bravo to the crew. It's awesome seeing, the gentleman who's playing Ben as the lead. Um, and his memory coming back, and all this different stuff, because part of the initial concept was that Sam Beckett went through time, but he never really fully regained his memory during it, so that's why he couldn't figure out how to get back home. And so this new version deals a little bit more with what's going on behind the scenes back where the character Ben is going through time. And they're trying to also play with the mystery of where's Sam, what happened to him. So it's going to be very interesting where they go with it and how they do with it. And total thumbs up for the series. And it's the first 8 episodes have been a lot of fun, and there's been one or two mind-blowing things in it that have made it really interesting, and it makes it really curious to see where they're going with it. So definitely worth checking out. Speaking of checking out, join us in our next episode, because we are going to be talking all about the new Netflix series Wednesday. So it's going to be a ton of fun. Ashley will be back to join us with that, and it should be a ton of fun to be able to do that. But of course, we couldn't do this without you guys. As we always like to say, thanks for listening to the Earth Station One podcast. We couldn't do this without you. You guys are our bread and butter. You guys are our family. You guys are the reason we're doing this. We're talking, having a great time, and everything. We want to hear from you guys, of course. Please write us anytime at feedback@earthstation1.com. Remember, you could also find Earth Station One wherever fine podcasts are found, including now up on YouTube. Hi, everybody up on YouTube. We see you. We love you.
We
Hold
see
on.
you.
We see you. We really do. Excuse me on that one. YouTube, you're going to see that. So there you go. So there you go. Edit it. It's going to be edited out of the audio version, but YouTube people get to see that. Of course, please subscribe and tell all your friends about us. We definitely would really appreciate it. On behalf of myself, Mike Faber, Ms. Ashley Pauls, and Mr. Mike Gordon, thank you for joining us. Please stay safe. Have a wonderful Christmas, and we will see you on the other side. Peace, and we are done. Bye. Hope you got everything you wanted for the holidays. Bye. Miss you.